welcome to yoga. I hope you've been doing well, or at least being and existing in your homes. I know that this time is tough as we continue to move forward. I feel like I had a really tough day yesterday, but I just hope that we can start this week off fresh, and I hope that this yoga practice in the middle of your day either continues a good day or perhaps takes a less good day into a better one. So we will start today on our backs. So as always, my practice is just a suggestion. You all are in your homes, so you can stop this whenever you want. Switch to something more vigorous, stop and start Shavasana halfway through your practice, anything that feels good for you today. So I encourage you to breathe and listen and just use me as a guide when you need it. So go ahead and roll down through the vertebra all the way onto the back. If you're wearing a sweatshirt like me, flip up your hood, bring the bottoms of the feet together, and rub the hands together. If it's anywhere like New Hampshire, it's nice and cold and rainy today, so create some heat with the hands. Keep rubbing them nice, briskly together. And then go ahead and bring them right on top of the hip joints. Let the eyes close. And begin to deepen the breath. Take note of how you're coming to the mat today. Acknowledging your sense and your level of presence right now, and trying not to label it as good or bad, but rather just letting it happen, allowing it to come onto the mat into this non-judgmental space. Throughout this practice, thoughts will come. I invite you to try to inhale the thought in, accepting it, and then exhaling it, letting it go, imagining that it were just drifting beyond your space in a river, but knowing that you could pick it up just around the bend after the practice. Trying to cultivate this space so that everything else that's worrying you stays outside of it. Continue to take a few more deep breaths, inhaling to feel the belly rise, and exhaling to let it fall, hugging the abdomen slightly down into the spine. One more like that, inhaling and exhaling. Then use the hands to bring the knees together and gently draw the knees into chest. Clasp opposite hands and rock side to side. Bring the hands out to a T position. Bring the shins so they're parallel to the floor, and use the abdominal muscles to press the entire spine into the ground. Then we'll inhale and exhale, drop the knees to the left, look to the right. Inhale up to center. Exhale, drop the knees to the right, gaze to the left. This active spinal twist, inhale back to center, exhale to the left. You'll feel your core starting to light up, and also feel a nice stretch through the obliques as you move through this twisting motion. And next time you come to your right, we'll meet back in center. Draw the knees in, and this time grab the shins or the outsides of the feet, and we'll come into happy baby. So here you want to press the sacrum down onto the ground as you pull your knees in towards your shoulders. And once you've found this happy baby, you're welcome to stay in stillness, or you can rock side to side. Another option would be to try to straighten one leg and then the other. You can do this while rocking side to side as well. And then finally, depending on how you're feeling in this moment, if you're feeling pretty tight, then I would not do this, but if you're feeling a little more limber and maybe have walked around this morning, you can try and straighten the legs a bit. Good, and then we'll bring the knees back into chest and create a small rocking motion as you begin to rock forward and back, trying to go on each side of the spine, so you're not rolling right on the spinous processes, but rather on those supporting muscles, almost giving them a bit of a massage. Good, I see someone writing something, so I'm just gonna check. Oh no, just from Yates, making sure you can hear me. Okay, good. So we will all meet in a cross-legged position, hands open on the knees, spread the collarbones wide, lift the sternum, close the eyes. Take a moment to set an intention for today's practice. Inhale to set that intention, exhale to let it go. Bring hands to heart center. Inhale up towards the sky. Exhale, twist towards the left. Bring the right hand on the knee, gaze behind you. Inhale, back up to the sky. Exhale, left hand on the right knee, gaze towards the left, or gaze towards the right. Good. Inhale up. Bring your hands behind you, plant the feet in front of you, and begin to tip the knees side to side. Invite any hips cracking. Good. And just notice what it feels like to start moving in your body. Good. And next time you come to the left, sweep the right arm around behind you and come down onto your elbows. You're coming down onto your elbows behind you. Reach the sternum forward. Take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, begin to unwind. Good. And then we'll lift the left arm up and come behind you to the right, coming down on the other forearms. Reach your sternum forward. Inhale and exhale, unwind. Good. Then you'll bring your feet in front of you, and we're going to transition into a small ball. So you'll begin to walk your fingertips up towards your hips until you feel your hip bones come up off the ground. Then you'll walk your hands in front of you, and there'll be a couple options here. You can come up on your tippy toes and hold yourself right here, or if you feel like you can go ahead and let your feet go flat. This takes a lot of strength in the upper feet and the shin bones. And try to bring your feet a little bit closer together, and then wrap your arms around your legs and squeeze them nice and tight. You can also just continue to move forward here, balancing on the ground, and just try to separate your shoulder blades. The goal here is to open up the upper back. As you take a nice big inhale, feel that stretch intensify, the space between the shoulder blades widen. Good, and then everyone will lean a bit forward so the fingertips are on the ground, and then you'll lift the hips up. Keep a slight bend in the knees. Heel toe the feet, so they're a little bit wider so you can fit 2 fists in between your hands, and then relax your neck, grab opposite elbows, and rock side to side. Feel free to welcome that ujjayi or ocean sounding breath, making a small constriction the back of the throat. Good, and then relax the hands, and we'll begin to roll up through each vertebra. When you find your way to standing, inhale the shoulders up towards the ears and down the back. Bring the palms facing forward. Take a slight tuck of the tailbone. Let the collarbones widen. Close the eyes once more. In Tadasana, mountain pose. Open the eyes. Inhale to lift the arms above the head. Exhale, press the sternum forward. Swan dive to forward fold. Inhale to flat back, reaching through the crown of the head. Exhale to lower, bend the knees, plant the hands, and step back to plank. From here, you'll lower your back knees, untuck the toes, scoot slightly forward, and then begin to lower the elbows as you come to 90 degrees above the ground, and then press up into a low cobra. Then we'll come through tabletop and up to our first downward dog. Keep a slight bend in the knees, and begin to pedal the feet. One heel down and then the other. Take a look forward at your hands. Make sure your fingertips are spread nice and wide and you're pressing in to the base of the index finger and thumb. Depending on how you're feeling, you might want to find some stillness in your downward dog. Otherwise, go ahead and keep pedaling the feet, moving around, doing what feels good for you. Try to move the arms so that the insides of the elbows are facing each other, trying to externally rotate the arms. Deep breath in and exhale, press the chest towards the legs. Good, bend the knees, gaze forward, and step forward to a forward fold. Inhale to flat back, exhale to lower, and inhale, reverse swan dive, up towards standing. Exhale, hands to heart center, lift the sternum into the thumbs. Good. So we'll try a couple more of those. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, press the sternum forward. Swan dive into forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to lower, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back into plank. This time you'll have a couple of options. You can either drop the knees, and this goes for the whole class, or you can keep your knees up. We'll come a bit forward and come down into chaturanga to 90 degrees, and then press either into a low cobra or an upward dog. Spread the collarbones nice and wide here. And then together we'll exhale, coming up to downward dog, option to go through tabletop. And we'll meet together in downward dog. Take one breath here. Inhale out through the mouth. And then we'll bend the knees, plant the hands, or gaze towards the hands, and step forward to a forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to lower. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Up towards the sky. This time cactus, the arms out, slight back bend, draw the shoulder blades together. Inhale up and exhale to Tadasana, hands to the sides. Inhale, gaze up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, and step or jump back to plank. If you're going to jump, you want to land with bended elbows, just to be careful on your joints. Good. And then either inhale to upward dog or cobra, and exhale to downward dog. Find your breath here. Good, and then we'll come forward into tabletop position. Inhale, drop the belly low, draw the sternum in front of you as far as you can, as if you could pull it through your arms. Exhale, arch the upper back, press into the hands, really getting deep into that cat pose, opening up the space between the shoulder blades. Inhale, drop the belly and the chest low, reaching through the arms. Exhale, press back up into cat position. Good, and then for the next few breaths, see if you can make this movement a little more free-flowing. So there are 6 motions of the spine, going forwards and backwards like this, going side to side, and twisting. So see if you can see what it feels like to practice a few of those. So going twisting, moving your left shoulder towards your left hip, your right shoulder towards your right hip. You can also do this through moving your hips side to side, stretching along the side body. Continuing with cat and cow, moving forwards and backwards, arching the spine. Good, and then even perhaps adding some twists in. Follow your breath, follow what your body is asking for. If you're following me, we'll inhale back up. And then switch to the other side, taking one more twist. Waking up the spine with all but 6 movements. Good. Then we'll go ahead and meet back in downward dog. From downward dog, press the left heel into the ground as you lift the right leg up into 3-legged dog. You want the front of the right hip as if it was a headlight facing down towards the ground. So try to lower the right hip a bit, even if it lowers the leg.
Then we'll inhale and exhale as you draw the knee forward and draw forehead to knee. Inhale up. Exhale, draw the knee to the left elbow. Inhale to three-legged dog. And exhale to the right elbow. Once more, inhale to three-legged dog. Exhale, draw the knee right to the forehead and then place it in between the hands. Lower the back knee, untuck the toes. Inhale, up and arch the back slightly, lifting the shoulder blades. Try to keep the core engaged so you're not crunching the low back. So you don't need to arch much, just a really slight arch. Good, and then bring the hands to heart center and begin to twist towards the right, dropping the elbow on top of the knee. Good, and then bring your hands down to frame the front foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee, bend the knees slightly, and propel yourself forward to a forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to lower. And inhale, reverse swan dive. Back towards standing. Hands to heart center. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale to flat back. And exhale to lower. Bend the knees, plant the hands. And again, either step or jump back to plank. Inhale to upward dog. And exhale to downward dog. Good, and we'll switch to the other side. Pressing into the right heel, lift the left leg up to three-legged dog. Breathe for a minute here, adjusting your hips so you're dropping the left hip slightly, reaching through that back heel, finding energy through the leg. Inhale long, and then exhale, draw the knee into chest, arch the upper back. So again, separating those shoulder blades. Then inhale back up to three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the leg out. Inhale up. And exhale once more. Good. And then once more, we'll inhale up and then exhale, draw the knee in and plant it down. Good. Go ahead and drop the back heel. And on your next inhale, lift up into a low lunge. Bring the hands to heart center and twist towards the left. Gaze up either towards the sky or down to the ground for a little more stability. Good, and then gaze down, frame the front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back leg, and propel yourself forward to a forward fold. Inhale to sit the hips low into Utkatasana or chair pose. Draw the shoulder blades down the back as you lift out of the shoulder joints, reaching the fingers out in front of you. So feel those opposing energies. Then we'll swing the arms behind us in airplane hands and come up onto the toes. Squeeze the inner thighs together, engage the pelvic floor, draw the abdomen in. And then bring the arms above your head as you lift up. Let the shoulder blades lower down the back again. Find a little relaxation in the shoulders, perhaps letting the arms widen a bit. And then we'll forward fold from here. It's okay if you need to come back down onto the heels. And from here, we're gonna come into a mini crow. This will be optional. If you don't wanna come into crow, just go ahead and step right back to downward dog. If you do, you'll spread your fingertips nice and wide, and still on your tippy toes, you'll begin to bend the arms as if you were going into a chaturanga, and then place the knees on the backs of the arms, gaze in front of you. That's the most important part, gazing in front of you, because then you won't fall forward. And then take one leg up, and maybe the other leg, and then see how it feels to take both up, depending on the day. And then from here in crow, option to try to jump back to plank. Something that I'm still working on and sometimes get very close to the ground, but just a fun little thing to try. Good. And then from upward dog, we'll all meet together in downward dog. Great, and we'll try another flow here. Inhale the right leg up to three-legged dog. Again, tip that right hip down. Exhale, draw the knee forward, plant the foot in between the hands, lower the back heel, and inhale up to warrior one. From warrior one, we'll draw the right hip forward and the right hip back, left hip forward. And see if you can sink down a bit lower. Take a look at your front foot and make sure you can see the big toe underneath your knee. And sweep the arms behind you, clasp them, reach the sternum forward, and come into humble warrior. Completely relax the head. Good, and see if you can hug that right hip in towards midline. There's a tendency to jut it out towards the side. Good, and then as you open up the hands, you're gonna swing yourself up and pivot right open to a warrior two, Virabhadrasana. So you wanna heel toe the front foot in just a bit so that the front heel is in line with the back arch. The front of the body is facing the side of your mat and your gaze is facing forward. Fingertips of the front middle finger has your gaze. Relax the shoulders a bit, sink a bit lower in the posture. Feel the grounding in the floor and the energy reaching up towards the sky in your upper body. On your next inhale, reach forward and drop the elbow onto the knee. Sweep the left arm up and over, palm facing the wall behind you. Extended side angle. Should feel a nice stretch all the way from the outside of the back foot, all the way up the side body into the fingertips. Good, inhale back to warrior two. Exhale, reverse your warrior, either tucking the hand behind your low back or bringing it down on the back leg. Keep that bend in the front knee. Feel the opening in the chest and the right underarm. Good. On your next inhale, find your way to warrior two. Straighten the front knee. Option to close your stance a bit. We're moving into Trikonasana or triangle pose. So from here, you want to take a scissoring of the legs. Really feel them drawing together. Engage the pelvic floor and the abdomen. Take a slight tuck of the tailbone. Then that same motion as when we went into extended side angle, you'll reach forward. When you get as far as you can, drop the arms 90 degrees. From here, you want to try to lengthen this right side of the body as much as you can, kind of crunching it down. So instead of reaching down, you want to reach the body forward. And then have the arms like this. Option to engage the core a little bit more is to reach that front arm forward. You can also reach the top arm up towards it. Gets a little intense, so whatever feels good. You can also use this hand as a little bit of extra support down the leg. Try to keep rolling the hips open as if the whole body was in one plane. Good, and one more breath here. And then inhale, reach up through that top arm and flip the toes so that they're 45 degrees out on the back leg, and we'll come into goddess pose. So here it's really important to look down at your stance because it's pretty easy to hurt your knees here. So you want your knees to be right over your ankles. A lot of people will need to shorten their stance a bit and try to sit as far back as you can. Good. And to start, we'll have a nice stretch. This is one of my favorite stretches. If you bring your hands to your knees, we'll go ahead and press into the right knee as you look towards the left. You'll get a great stretch on the inner thigh, but also through the spine. Inhale to center. Exhale, press into the left knee, gaze towards the right. Good, and then we'll come back towards center, bring the hands to the heart. And we'll try another exercise with the ankles and bring the feet up into our tippy toes. So start by lifting the right foot only, pressing strongly into the arch, so you're all the way up on your ball of your foot, then lower the right foot. Come up onto the ball of the left foot, and lower that. You'll feel the fire starting up in your thighs. And then just give it a try, maybe only lifting a tiny bit off the ground, but see what it's like to lift both of your feet up off the ground. You want to press your ankles forward so you're not letting them tip back. Good. And then lower down onto the ground, and we'll straighten the legs, switch the feet so they're facing forward, reach the arms out to the side, and down into a forward fold. Good. Here from this forward fold, option to try it if you want to try coming into a handstand. So you'll go ahead and separate your feet as far as you can. That'll help you get closer to the mat. And then you can do it in a tripod position. I never find this very comfortable, so I bring my hands into a nice clasp and I put them on the back part of my head so that the forearms are down on the ground. And then once I have that little nest in my head, you can just try not even coming off the ground, but just rolling forward on your feet and seeing what that's like. And try to press into your elbows as much as you can to lift the pressure off your head. If you want to try, you can see what it's like to lift the feet off the ground. I like this way of coming into it because it's actually really challenges you to find some strength in the glutes. And then if you want, you can go ahead and lift up. If you come into headstand a different way, go ahead and transition and do that now. Otherwise, just continue the forward fold and stretch. If you're coming back down, just be sure to go extra slowly and carefully. Good. So if you're still in forward fold and everyone else make your way there, bring your hands to your hips, reach forward into a flat back, lower once more, and then roll up vertebra by vertebra. Good. And we'll step to the front of the mat and work through the flow on the other side. Inhale, arms nice and high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to lower. Inhale into chair. We'll come up on the tippy toes again. Bring the hands to airplane arms. And then lift all the way up. So again, we'll have that optional transition from crow to plank. Or you can just go ahead and drop the heels here, come into a forward fold, bend the knees, plant the hands, and step yourself back to plank. So taking some time to individualize your practice, knees up or down here as we come forward into chaturanga. Inhale to upward dog, and exhale to downward dog. Great. So I'm going to flip the way I'm going. And we'll go ahead and lift the left leg up. Exhale, draw the knee forward. Lower the back heel and come up into warrior one. So from here, this time we're drawing the left hip back as we push the right hip forward. And then bring the hands behind you in Anjali Mudra. This time put the opposite thumb on top if you can remember. Reach through the sternum and come down into humble warrior. Let the neck go. Hug the hip a little bit more into midline, pulling it into the center if you can. Maybe let the eyes close here. Find something you can relax that you don't need to maintain the posture. Jaw. Good, and as you release the hands, you'll swing up back to warrior one and transition to warrior two. Again, heel toeing that front foot in just a bit so the heel is in line with the back arch. Again, so the body is facing whatever side of your mat you're working on. Maybe off your mat with me. And then your direction and your gaze is in front of you over that front middle fingertip. So we'll start by inhaling, reaching forward, coming into an extended side angle. Option, of course, to put the hand down on the floor, on blocks. I'd like to keep it right here on the knee and focus on reaching and elongating that side body. Good. Inhale to warrior two. And exhale, reverse your warrior. Bring your hand to the low back or supporting yourself on your back leg. Good deep breath here. And on the exhale, find your way back to warrior two. Straighten the front leg. Option to step in that back foot. Close your stance a bit. Scissor the legs together, engage the pelvic floor, take a slight tuck of the tailbone, engage the abdominals, bring the hands out to a T position, and again, reach forward. And when you get as far as you can, tip the arms. And then the focus when you're getting here is not to come down all the way and reach the floor, but rather to reach the torso forward, elongating both sides, and trying to keep the whole body in one plane. So tipping
the hips open, so trying to roll the right hip on top of the left. Again, option here to bring that top arm or bottom arm and top arm over to engage the core even more, or support yourself down on the lower leg. Good, and then lift yourself back up. Now place both of the feet forward. This time we'll just come into a simple forward fold. I won't guide into headstand, but if that's something you'd like to do again, go ahead. We'll bring the arms to the hips, reach nice and tall, kind of pull the tops of the thighs down as you feel like you're lifting out of your hips, and really reach forward and down into that forward fold. Bring the hands to the floor, begin to walk yourself over to your right knee. Tip that other foot so that you're on your heel and toes are pointing towards the sky. You'll feel a stretch in the inner thigh. Then walk over to the other side. Option here, depending on your balance, is to bring the hands to heart center. We'll flip back towards the other side. And once towards the other side. Keeping your hands down if that feels better. Good, and then we'll meet in forward fold. And from here, we're gonna transition back into plank. So bring your hands towards the front of your mat, and then step one foot and the other foot back to plank. From here, we'll come forward and come into Chaturanga. Option to just come right, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Good. And from downward dog, we will lift the right leg into three-legged dog. Exhale, draw the knee forward, plant it in between your hands. We're going to transition into a balance sequence here. So as always, feel free to put your foot down in between the different balance poses whenever you need a break. Is totally fine. So we're going to start by transitioning into Warrior 3 from this low lunge. So you'll bend the back knee and then lift it off the ground. The hands can still be on the ground. You can have some blocks or books that can help. And then we'll lift ourselves up. So really engage both of the glutes here, the standing leg glute and also the back leg as you lift it, trying to bring it to parallel with the floor. You can keep the hands on the hips here. That often makes me feel the most stable. Or you can bring them out to airplane arms or out in front of you to engage the upper back. So we'll hold in Warrior 3. Again, we want to try to tip the left hip down a bit so that both of the hips are even. And then you'll begin to lift the torso and draw the knee up in front of you. Awesome, so take a moment to just balance here. Feel free to put the foot down if your right glute is screaming at you. And then we'll try a twisting balance pose. So the first option is just gonna bring your right hand to the knee and open this left arm, gaze behind you. Your second option is going to be to straighten this front foot so that you're bringing your hand on the outside of the foot so it's crossing over. I have to step down. And then you'll press the leg out, so reaching through the heel. And then you can continue to gaze forward or gaze behind you. So again, this is pretty challenging. Your glute is tiring, but just see what it's like. And then we'll come forward again, grab with the opposite arm. And if you've already lost me, just go ahead and shake out the both of the legs, that's okay. If you have a wall, feel free to use it. Good. And then one option more if you want to transition right into tree pose. You'll see I'm shooting and touching the wall, so don't feel bad. I like balance poses, they're just fun to try. Bring the hands to heart center. Great, and then straighten that leg and come back down. Shake out that supporting ankle, supporting leg. Shake out the arms. All good, okay. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, lower bend the knees, plant the hands. Come straight to downward dog or through a chaturanga and upward dog. Good. And this time we will lift the left leg into three-legged dog. Exhale, bring it forward so we're in that low lunge. And we'll start with Warrior 3. So go ahead and bend the back knee. Propel yourself forward. So you're almost coming through a standing split.
And then when you start to feel stable, you'll bring one hand and the other hand off the ground. You'll lift the back leg as far as you can and lower the front torso down, so that almost helps create a counterbalance. Again, tip the right hip down a bit, and then find where you want to leave your hands here. Good. And then as you lift your torso, you'll bring the leg forward, again, kind of like a counterweight, and balance forward using the core to keep the knee up. For the twisting balance posture, have a couple options. Again, so you start bringing your left arm on the knee and gaze behind you. Second option is to take the left hand on the outside of the foot, reach it forward, getting a nice stretch in your IT band. Option to gaze behind you, maybe. And then for the final one, you'll bring your other hand to the inside, release hold of the cross hand. Oops, I'm gonna hit the wall. And bring yourself maybe with your leg out to the side. And when you're out to the side, the more you press your foot into your hand, the more it helps you balance. Again, kind of like counterbalance. And then if you want to try to transition into Trikonasana, maybe or maybe not. You can wiggle out of view too, that works. So then finding Trikonasana, if you're in a nice Zen balance, good work. And if you're wiggling around already, also good work. Good, so I'll wiggle together. Woo, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna find our way to a seated position now. Whatever way is easier to get there. You can come through a vinyasa, you can just sit down. I'm gonna lead through a vinyasa, inhaling up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, step or jump back to plank. Inhale to upward dog. Exhale to downward dog. Take one last deep breath here. Inhale, exhale, open mouth, sigh. Good, bend the knees, gaze in front of you, and jump yourself forward to a cross-legged position. Good, so we're gonna transition onto our back and do a couple back bends here. So go ahead and bring the knees together, feet on the floor, just like we started. Roll down through the vertebra. And I think you can still see me. And we'll start with Setu Bandhasana, or bridge pose. So bring the heels in so that you can feel them with your fingertips. You want to imagine that you have a block or something that you're holding. If you have a blanket or a towel or a block or a book, you can use that. Not necessary, but that kind of gives you a way to make sure that you're keeping your legs straight and you're not damaging your hips or your knees. So we'll press in to the feet and the shoulders to lift the torso up off the ground. Option to clasp the hands underneath you and roll onto one shoulder and then the other. So again, keep drawing the legs together or pressing into whatever you have in between your legs. Can be a water bottle too, really anything. Good. Then we'll inhale once more, pressing the hips up towards the sky, reaching the sternum almost behind you. And then release the hands underneath you, roll down through the spine. Good. And we will remove blanket or water bottle, and we'll either come into a second Setu Bandhasana or bridge pose, or you can come into wheel. So if you want to come into Setu Bandhasana again, go ahead and lift up. If you want to come into wheel, you'll bring your hands behind you. Fingertips are pointing towards the feet. And once you plant yourself down, try to keep the elbows in towards the body, so aligned with the shoulders. And then you'll lift yourself up so that you're on the top of your head. Readjust your shoulders a little bit. So you're almost in like a chaturanga position here. And then you'll press yourself up. Again, try to keep that hugging motion with the thighs. So you don't want to splay them wide, but rather as if they were hugging something, keeping them together, knees coming straight out from the hips. Press into the hands, gaze behind you, and you can see what it feels like to straighten the legs. And it'll just give you a different kind of stretch in the front of the body. Good, and then we'll lower down the same way we came, coming to the top of the head first, and then rolling down, keeping the thighs drawn together. Good, and then resist the urge. If you were in Setu Bandhasana, come down as well. Resist the urge to draw the knees into chest. We'll just take a moment to let the full effects of the back bend manifest in the spine. Good. And then we're going to use Setu Bandhasana to transition to a shoulder stand. If this doesn't seem like it'll be comfortable for you, then you can just transition right to a shoulder stand. If you're feeling like you're totally done with this practice, you don't want to do anything else, find a wall, put your hips against the wall, and put your legs up the wall. Same sort of effect. So you can either come into a shoulder stand or a half shoulder stand by swinging the hips up, finding the low back. Or you can come back into Setu Bandhasana, take your hands up, and scoop one hand and then the other hand behind your hips. So you'll feel sort of your hip points on your hands. Right now your fingertips are facing out. You're going to want to transition your fingertips so they're facing up, or they're actually facing towards your knees rather. And then you'll lift one knee and then the other, and you'll find yourself there. Then you can walk your hands up the back and point your toes or flex your toes, just make a decision, and find your way into a shoulder stand. Maybe let the eyes close, whether you're up against the wall, in a half shoulder stand, full shoulder stand. Just enjoy the effects of being upside down for a minute. Change in perspective, change in flow in your legs. Begin to note how your body is feeling as we start to wind down the practice. If you're in shoulder stand, two ways of coming down. One, rolling through the spine. Another is to come back through bridge. So you'll begin to lower down into a half shoulder stand where you're supporting the weight of your hips on your hands. And then you'll lower one foot towards the ground. Flip the hands out so the fingertips are out towards the side. And you'll find the ground with one foot and then the other. From Setu Bandhasana, roll down. If your legs are up the wall, go ahead and pull them into chest, rock off towards the side of the wall. Good. And then we'll all meet on the mat. Wrap your arms around your legs that are drawn into chest and rock side to side. Good. Then bring the hands out towards the side. We're going to cross the legs into eagle position for a nice final spinal twist. So cross the right leg over the left. Pop the hips over towards the right and drop the knees towards the left. Gaze towards the right, try to lower that right shoulder down on the ground. Take a nice deep breath in, feel the front of the chest widen. On your exhale, drop that shoulder. Feel each inhale and exhale gliding up and down the spine, wringing out any final tension. Inhale the knees back towards center, uncross them, pop your hips towards the left, cross the left over the right in eagle legs, and then drop the hips, or drop the knees towards the right, and gaze towards the left. Inhale, feeling the rib cage widen, exhale, drop that left shoulder towards the ground. Notice how good the reciprocal twist feels. And maybe invite your eyes to close if they aren't closed already. And on your next inhale, draw the knees back towards chest, uncross the knees, come back towards center, and rock side to side. Take any final movements your body is asking for before you transition to Shavasana. You could find your way back to a happy baby,
figure four, stretching out your IT bands and glutes. If you feel like you want a chest opener, you can come up into Matsyendrasana or fish, bringing the elbows behind you as far as you can and lifting through the sternum and letting the head drop all the way back. Feel an opening in the heart space and the throat space. And then we'll transition into Shavasana. If you have a sweatshirt or a blanket, go ahead and grab that. And then find your way into a comfortable position on your mat. If you have a blanket, I often like to place it under my knees. It makes a really nice supported Shavasana. So you can go ahead, this is a very messily rolled blanket, but you would roll it a bit nicer, bring it below your knees, and that lift is really nice on the low back. Bring your hands out to the side body and let go. Release control of the breath. Release any effort left in your muscles. Let each exhale allow your body to sink a little bit further into the support of the earth. No matter what is going on in your world, in your life, in your day, you have this connection with the earth below you, constantly supporting you, grounding you, there to bring you back to this present moment. Whether it be your feet on the floor, your hips in a chair, or like we are now with the full weight of your body extended, supported, floating on the earth. And use these next few minutes to integrate your practice. If you'd rather just turn it off right now and let your Shavasana go as long as you would like. Otherwise, we'll bring us back in a couple minutes. On your next inhale, begin to invite your awareness onto your mat, into your heart space. Noticing how you feel after complete let go, whether or not you were able to keep your mind free of thoughts or not, you at least came to a moment of stillness and silence. Just notice how that feels in your body, your mind, and your spirit. And then invite some small movements into the fingers and toes. You can bring your knees into chest, arms overhead, or just continue with these small movements, keeping yourself quiet. Choose a side to roll onto, your right for a feeling of continued relaxation, your left for a bit of energy. Blood recirculate on the side. And when you're ready, The eyes closed, you're focused on the ground. Press yourself back up to a seated position. Bring the hands with the palms on knees. Feel the shoulders relax, sinking down a bit, and the crown of the head lifting towards the sky. Take a moment to thank yourself for coming to the mat and taking this moment for yourself. Let us join together in one Om, bringing this sound that contains all sounds so that it reverberates in our community and in our world and offers a sense of peace and healing. So we'll take an inhale together and exhale. And then our next inhale to Om. Bring the hands to heart center. And I say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Hands to third eye center. I hope you have a wonderful Monday.